Hello, so today we're going to be going over a Twitch Bruiser build. So this is going to be playing around Prismatic Pipeline, which is another really broken augment. I kind of wanted to keep the trend up of yesterday, where yesterday I kind of talked about Gifts of the Fallen, or I forget exactly what it's called, Friends of Ghost Pass, whatever. That augment being really broken. You can check out that video. I think it's probably like one of the best augments. It's like an instant click. Another one that I think is really strong, I'm not 100% sure on this one, because it's coming a lot from experience, as well as seeing it being taken from other people on streams, as well as like challenger players and other stuff. I don't have much experience with it as much as like Ghosts of Friends Past. But Prismatic Pipeline is one of the most broken prismatics, I think. I'm pretty sure it's really good. Basically what it does is it upgrades all your gold orbs to prismatic, and then golden prismatic orbs also drop more loot. It also guarantees you an additional prismatic orb at the next non-player combat. So here I'm taking Prismatic Pipeline early, so this is on 2-1. So basically at Krugs, I'm going to get a Prismatic orb in addition to whatever orbs would get dropped, and if any of those orbs are gold orbs, they will then drop more loot, which is very strong in my opinion. Typically this is something that I thought you would only take in Scuttle Puddle. So if you don't know, in Scuttle Puddle, typically you'll have a lot more loot, and a lot of times in Scuttle Puddle, especially like at one point you start getting dropped multiple gold orbs, so it can really help you cap very high towards the end of the game. So Prismatic Pipeline seemed like it was very good in those lobbies. I've since seen many times Prismatic Pipeline be taken and it being ridiculously strong. Like there was a guy who took Prismatic Pipeline and then had like a Malzahar 2 on 3-3, and it still scarred me. If you guys have been in my stream, I think I talked about it on the daily of how horrendously like skewed the lobby was because of it. Ever since I saw that, I don't think this is an augment that is necessarily like very focused on like high rolling. I think it's fine in most cases as is, and I think it's really strong to take. Now I'm not 100% sure, so I might be like, we'll see how things work out later. If it gets a nerf in the later patch, we'll see. We don't have augment stats, so we can't know for sure. But anyways, I'm taking it here, and we're gonna see how far ahead I get based on the prismatic orb drop that's gonna come at Krugs. That's basically how much strength you can put into this augment, is how ahead will I look, or how much more insane will my spot be if after Krugs, basically, once I get this first prismatic orb that's supposed to have boosted loot in addition to being a prismatic orb. Now in general, if you look at my board, I have items that I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them. Sunfire Cape is a really good early game slam, by the way, and it's also really good into late game. Sunfire used to be a really shit item, but now Sunfire gives you 8% maximum HP, so it's actually kind of viable as a tank item. So you'll see a lot of people make Sunfire because not only is it anti-heal, it's actually like a pretty good item. So Sunfire early is just good because no matter what I play, I'm going to be playing around Sunfire. I just want to focus on making Econ here, and then once I get my Prismatic Orb drop and I get like the rest of my components, I'll be in a good spot. Basically, I'm not really playing with a Prismatic for all of stage 2, so it's going to be hard for me to keep up and win a lot of these rounds. So I'm okay with just lose streaking and losing most of these rounds on stage 2. Ideally, I take a 5 loss here, hit the Prismatic Orb, get a large spike in my board, and then level up and do all sorts of stuff, and then win out on stage 3. So if we're scouting around, there's a couple of people with flexible, a couple of people with level up, a lot of tempo boards. Basically with Prismatic Orb, it's similar like, with Prismatic Pipeline, it's similar to other prismatics like Hedge Fund, or like rolling ones like Prismatic Ticket. When you take a prismatic augment, there's some people that are going to get like a spatula, which gives you items. They're going to get items, or they are going to get like a lot of combat power. Those boards are going to be really strong. So the prismatic relative to the others, this one for at least stage 2, it's going to be very hard for me to keep up unless I have a really strong board. So a lot of times when you take these type of prismatics where they're not outright giving you a lot of power in their exact like instance of clicking it, a lot of times you're expected to lose a lot of those rounds, so you should just focus on lose streaking, and that's what I'm doing here. Like I think I said at the beginning, this ends up being a Twitch Bruiser game. I'm not sure exactly how we end up there, but we're gonna see. I'm starting to not really like this Twitch comp. I'm trying to play more comps besides AP because I'm trying to get like more of a well-rounded idea of what's good and what's bad in the set, because I think it's very easy to tunnel vision. Just every game is a Heimer game, and you just force towards Black Rose with a flex option, and then if you don't hit Heimer, you play Zoe. If you don't hit Zoe, you play Dominators, right? I think that's a very easy thing to do. I'm trying to experiment a lot and play different rerolls, as well as play AD lines. I'm trying out pretty much everything that I see. I'm trying to keep tabs on stuff. I don't have Twitter anymore because I just don't like Twitter. So like it's hard to like learn about like secret Chinese tech and stuff. So I'm trying to like get my fill by watching streams and stuff on my off time. But this Twitch comp is something that I really want to get good at and optimizing. Excuse me, because there's a lot of times where I see it and out of nowhere, it just does a billion damage and he does really, really well. So I'm not sure exactly where to place it. I originally discounted Twitch, like the Twitch bruiser line. I don't personally like it that much. Still, I feel like it's overplayed for what it is. I think that the experiment is flawed in the sense that you're always forced to have your Twitch in one spot. So especially late game when people are capping their boards very high, unless you can make it to level 9 and play around like a Caitlyn 2 and have like a secondary carry that's doing almost as much if not more damage than Twitch. If you're relying on Twitch for too long, eventually people will be able to position around you because they know exactly where your Twitch is going to be. It's really grief for you to switch your Twitch to a different experiment bonus square because you just lose too much damage. But at the same time, because he's a sniper, a lot of people can clump towards the side of the Twitch and then not have that much damage. So you really need like a Caitlyn on the opposite side to really cap out the board, or another damage dealer on the opposite side to kind of punish like if they clump or they position their main tank a certain way. So I'm not sure exactly where I fall on this comp. So this is going to be me playing it. I played it maybe 3 or 4 times before this, and my scores are very middling. A lot of times it's like somewhere between a 3 and a 4 if I'm top 4ing, and then if I'm not top 4ing, it's like a 7th or an 8th. So it's like, you know, I'm definitely on the lower side of the top 8 spectrum when you're talking about that. But anyways, here I 5 loss. We're gonna see what items I get. I think I'm gonna get a lot of bows and bows, swords, and gloves, which is why I'm gonna play towards AD rather than AP. I feel like AD options aren't that great because Quirky really needs something like 6 scrap to work really well, and Twitch really needs like the bruiser frontline, I find, in order to work really well. I think 4 sniper with Twitch sometimes works if you have a lot of really strong upgrades in your frontline, but that whole board to me, like the AD options are very like forcing, like they really force your hand pretty hard to play like a certain way in order to get the maximum value out of those units. Anyways, let's see what we get. A lot of times I will try and pivot between scrap and Twitch because quirky items and Twitch items kind of work out to be the same kind of. Twitch I think really likes to have a Gwinsu and quirky doesn't though. So if you end up slamming a Gwinsu early, a lot of times you're kind of like locking into Twitch more so than you're locking into the other guy. Anyways, here's the Prismatic Orb. So Prismatic Orb drops extra loot. Basically, I got like, I don't know what that was. That was like 30 gold. I'm going to rewind it just because I was talking over myself a little bit. But if you look at this, this is what the augment does. So right now, this is guaranteed you get 1 Prismatic Orb. Now, any gold orbs that you get dropped, so you see those are blue orbs. Gold orbs are going to have more loot and Prismatic Orbs are going to have more loot. So I had this Prismatic Orb. The Prismatic Orb basically gave me like, I think that's like 20 gold, right? So I got plus 20 gold in addition to having a Masterworks upgrade. So basically my Prismatic Augment was 20 gold and a Masterworks upgrade, plus it continues to give me more loot later. So that already seems massive because a Masterwork upgrade is essentially 1 Prismatic Augment, right? A Prismatic Augment is get a Masterworks upgrade. So I got 20 gold in addition to a Masterworks upgrade. As you can see here, I'm level 6, 60 gold now. I have a Masterworks upgrade that I can use. Looking at my items, I see the opportunity to make IE, Last Whisper, and Gwinsu. Now, this is the part where I'm unsure. I want to see if I did this correctly, so I'm actually going to tab out for 1 second. As you can see, if you make a Masterworks upgrade on a unit on your bench, you can't sell the unit to get the item. I didn't know that, but that's fine because I'm going to be 6 loss here, and 6 loss is okay. I don't really care too much about 6 loss. But anyways, I just want to check the stats. First, let's just check item stats in terms of Radiant items. I want to see which are a little bit better. Like obviously Radiant Sunfire is obviously really good, but I think I just wanted to focus on Twitch items. I think the correct answer was to make Radiant Sunlight Cape or Radiant Sunfire Cape. I think it just gives so much value because it gives you like extra burning. It does like larger AoE on the burning. It also does like, you know, or AoE on the wounding. And it also gives you like a lot more stats in terms of more extra in terms of more HP. So Sunlight Cape is definitely like the go-to. I just wanted to see in terms of backline units or backline items. I think it was Guinsoo on Twitch and not IE on Twitch. But I went for Radiant IE because in my head I thought Radiant IE would be a little bit better. But I definitely think it was a mistake. I think even Radiant Last Whisper is better. Yeah, I think I picked the worst option out of everything. So that's definitely a problem on my part. But it's obviously like, you know, I was trying to do everything in one round. So this is something that's just like a learning moment for me. First pick is always Radiant Sunfire if you're just going for like a generic item from your Masterworks upgrade. And then if I'm going for Twitch, let's say Twitch 2, and I go items and I go Radiant items. Obviously the stats are still very small sample sizes, so it's going to be a little bit awkward. Radiant Guinsoo is the best on him. Yeah, I picked the worst option. So I could have made Radiant Guinsoo, Radiant Last Whisper, or Radiant IE, and I chose to make Radiant IE. You'll see that it has the largest sample size, so there's a chance, Last Whisper maybe isn't as good as it says that it is. But it was definitely Radiant Guinsoo just to stack the Twitch a little bit faster. So that's my bad. Now I know. I'm going to keep tabs on these type of things. This is how like you improve at the game, because if I'm ever in a spot again where I have to make a Radiant item on Twitch, now I know which one's the best one, or at least for this patch. And that's kind of how I try and improve a little bit, step by step along the way. Here I was kind of dedicated towards Twitch because I have the Mundo as well. So I think when I was making Radiant IE, I was still thinking about the fact that maybe I'm going to play around Corki. And then in that case, I wouldn't put the Guinsoo on the Corki because I don't think Guinsoo is that good on Corki. Right? If we go Corki, 2-star. I'm pretty sure Guinsoo is bad on Corki. See? Like in general, Guinsoo is one of his worst items. Because Corki, you just want more damage. Right? So Guinsoo typically is pretty bad. That's plus delta means that it decreases your average placement if you're playing around Corki. So in my head, I was like, okay, I'd rather just make a Radiant item that maybe can work on both units. But I think in doing that, I just put myself in a spot where I can play neither particularly high capped. So anyways, that's the first mistake. Part of that also makes me not cap as high. For my second Prismatic Augment, so because Prismatic Party basically, second Prismatic Augment, I just took the Fawn. I think that with the Fawn, it's the complete opposite of Prismatic Pipeline. Getting a extra Tactician's Crown or Tactician's Cape, whichever one, having +1 spot on your board immediately makes you very strong. It's something that immediately makes you very strong because you have a whole extra unit that you use to have extra synergies, and it's just very, very strong. It also gives a little bit of stats, I believe, when you take Coronation with the Tactician's Crown. So it's just straight up, just very, very strong for the exact moment that you get it. In this case, that's why I took it. I wanted to make sure that I'm strong during stage 3 because I already spent stage 2 losing most of those rounds. Ideally, I just want to win every round from now on. So I'm already level 7 because of my Prismatic Pipeline. I have a lot of gold on the rest of the lobby. I'm very far ahead. And then I took Coronation, which then gives me a Fawn, which puts an extra unit on my board, which is like being level 8. So it's just very, very strong right now. I'm very, very ahead of the lobby. And that's why I think Prismatic Pipeline is very strong. All of the Prismatic Pipeline things that it can drop, like Prismatic can drop you spatulas, it can drop you tomes, I think, it can drop you Orn artifacts, support items, but then because it's also bonus loot on top of it already being a Prismatic orb, I think after that first hit, like after Krugs, you usually get this huge spike where you're just so much further ahead of the rest of the lobby that the world is your oyster and you just have to kind of like play around it and then cap out really, really high towards the end of the game. Here you can see that I'm kind of committed more towards Twitch here. It's because I already have a Mundo, and then on Carousel, because I lost all of stage 2, I'm first pick on Carousel, so I got a Mundo pair. So I basically have 2 Mundos. I'm in a good spot to just have a Mundo 2 basically. So I'm totally happy with that. I'm totally down. We're just going to play around Twitch because I already have a big part of the front line dealt with. Now, the other option instead of Fawn was to take a Bruiser Emblem. Bruiser Emblem is really, really good on Mundo. Basically, what you do when you play this Twitch comp is you play what's in my team planner. You basically play all the Bruisers. You don't have to play Urgot. That's only if you're playing around 5 Experiment. But you play 6 Bruiser, 2 Sniper in the back line, and then you play Mundo. One of the Bruisers, which is Nunu, is Experiment. So you get the Experiment bonus on Twitch and Experiment bonus on one of your frontline units. If you're stuck, you can roll for Nunu 3 and play around that as your main tank. But usually you're going to play around a Mundo as your main tank. Now, if you have 6 Bruiser in, you would typically put, or sorry, if you have a Bruiser +1, you put the Bruiser emblem on the Mundo. I think I've already shown this in another video that I played. It was just part of PBE though, so it's not necessarily like when the set released, so a lot of things have changed since then, but the idea remains the same. Mundo scales really, really well off of his HP, so giving him the Bruiser emblem makes him like go insanely, like it insanely spikes him. It spikes him to a ridiculous extent. Here I high rolled into an Elise as well. That's kind of crazy. For how high rolled this game is, I didn't end up in a placement that I was happy with. So I already pointed out one of the optimizations that was really bad was this Radiant IE instead of Radiant Guinsoo. It's probably just better to have the Radiant Guinsoo because with Twitch you want him to ramp up as fast as possible. Anyways, here's another Prismatic Orb. This Prismatic Orb, it gave me an Orn artifact, and it gave me like it gave the remover because it always gives the remover. Here, I'm not sure which Orn artifact to take. I just take Trench Coat because I say to myself, I might as well just have a little bit of extra front line to play around Trench Coat. Now, I know Trench Coat is bad. Basically, in my head, I was like, I'll just put Trench Coat on one of my Bruisers, and they'll just split into 3, and I'll have a lot of extra front line so that my Twitch can continue to do damage. The problem with Radiant Trench Coat is that I end up putting it on my Mundo, and Mundo I don't think likes Trench Coat because Mundo's all about like staying with really high HP and healing a bunch. I'm pretty sure I noticed it during the game, but by the time I notice it, it's a little bit too late. But if we go here, let's look at Mundo for example. I think this was another thing that I made. Just a lot of mistakes on my part in this game, but that's totally fine because, you know, we're learning. I think Trench Coat is bad on him. Yeah, it says Trench Coat's really bad on Mundo. The reason Trench Coat is bad on Mundo is because Mundo's ability mostly deals with him staying alive and tanking a bunch and then healing a bunch back to full. With Suspicious Trench Coat, it essentially cuts his HP by a large amount when he hits 50%. So instead of him healing, which is what he does, he heals and he goes infinite, he splits into 3 copies and they each have less HP. So they're just like 3 shittier versions of Mundo. So it's just way worse. I think that Mundo without Trench Coat, it's like actively griefing. That's something that I wasn't quite sure about, but I was in the middle of a game and I'm streaming and it's hard to like figure out all these things on the fly. So I end up putting Trench Coat on Mundo. It's definitely bad. So you'll see that throughout the game. Just know that eventually just don't do it. Here I just took a combat augment. I took Bulky Buddies. It's not the best with Bruisers, but I didn't see another combat. I would have liked to have something that gave my Twitch a little bit more like damage, for example, would have been nice. But it's okay. Here I'm rolling. I have like 50 something gold. I'm level 840 gold right now. I didn't find the Twitch. I could roll a little bit deeper, but I'm going to see if I'm stable right now. This is what I was saying before. See, I put the Trench Coat on the Mundo. I definitely think it's worse. Just putting 3 items on Mundo would have been better for a lot of these mid-game fights. But as you can see, as much as I, like, you know, I got a Prismatic Orb, I think everybody else got a Prismatic Orb. Because, like, you know, that's just how this augment, like, I didn't get it from the augment this time. So that means that most people got Prismatic. I just got a little bit of extra loot from it. But if you look, this guy has a Malzahar 2 on level 8. So that's really unlucky because I'm just going to get railed, I think. And as you can see, all these Mundos, once he splits with the Trench Coat, he just dies instantly. So as much as I should have probably taken something like RFC and just have like a backline item at that point. So that's another mistake that I made throughout this game. Because I'm losing rounds here, I don't feel like I'm stable. People have spiked a little bit more aggressively than I was hoping. So I'm going to roll here. I'm just trying to find upgrades. I'm trying to find like a Twitch 2. I feel like Twitch rarely has enough damage. So I roll really deep here. I get the Twitch so that I can kind of stabilize my board and then I'll go 9. With this comp, a lot of times you just want to go 9. If you can find a 2-star legendary, there are many things you can do. You can play a Jace in the backline, for example, because you're already playing Elise with Form Swapper, and Jace does an insane amount of damage. You can play around Caitlyn instead of Zeri, so if you had a Caitlyn 2, you can play Caitlyn 2. There's lots of different options. But here, I just have to roll aggressively. I'm still making 37 gold, so I should be fine. A lot of these rounds, like, you know, in hindsight, it's very easy to see the Trench Coat is bad on Mundo. And I looked at the stats a little bit. I actually looked at the stats right after the game to try and see what was wrong. Because I was like, I wonder why that went so poorly. So I looked at Mundo and I said, okay, I'm going to make notes. I'll take notes on, like, Radiant item, what my Prismatic Orb drop was, and I'll go over the VOD review, right? These are things that I do on my own time. This whole channel started by me doing this for myself. Because I find it fun and interesting. and then I share it with other people because it gives you guys the tools to say, hey, this is how you improve and this is how you play the game, as well as giving you guys like a general guide if you've never seen these comps before, roughly how it's played, and then I say what I did right and what I did wrong. So things that I did wrong, I already listed them. It was Radiant Guinsoo for sure. It was probably Bruiser Emblem instead of the Coronation if I really wanted to max cap and I was playing for first, but Coronation is fine. And then it was not Suspicious Trenchcoat. If I took Suspicious Trenchcoat, I should put on a different unit, probably Elise. It would have been way better on Elise because Elise, then I just triple the copies of Elise and Elise might be able to get more than one stun off. So I should have moved Suspicious Trenchcoat to Elise, and then I should have put 3 items on Mundo, even Redemption on Mundo, who cares, double healing, whatever. So those are the 3 mistakes so far, so that's going to hurt my overall placement, and we'll try and point it out. I think that with this comp as well, a lot of times if you get AP items, you can also play Elise in the back line. As you can see here, I'm moving Elise to the back line just because I think that with bulky buddies and 6 Bruiser, I should have enough front line to deal with a lot of these comps. So I would rather have this Elise just do a little bit of extra damage rather than like trying to do the extra stunning. Yeah, so as you can see with this Mundo, see, that's the problem. Right there is when Mundo would probably have healed back to full, but instead this Trenchcoat splits him, and then he doesn't get to heal back to full. So as much as it seems like you have 3 Giga Tank Mundos with a bunch of HP, and he splits into 3, and he's very, very strong, and they're hard to deal with, I think overall it's just a worse situation, because the Mundo can go infinite with 3 items rather than that, rather than the Trenchcoat. Here, this is an anomaly round. So for the anomaly, I just instantly take the 5% damage amp for per 10 player health that's missing. So the reason I took the damage amp was 2 reasons. Number 1, I already have a lot less HP than most people in the lobby, so it's already pretty effective. I get a good amount of damage amp. As you can see, I have 25 damage amp. The other reason I took it is because my Twitch basically has all of the other stats, right? I have attack speed because I have the bow. I have a lot of AD as well as crit chance because of the Zenith Blade or the Radiant Infinity Edge. That is my item. And I also have Last Whisper, which is Sundering. My front line is 6 Bruisers, so I have a lot of front line because they're just, even the shitty units that are there are effectively very, very tanky. And I also have an Augment, which gives additional HP, right? I have bulky buddies. So right now, I don't really want to use a Augment to, I don't want to use my Anomaly to make my Mundo very hot, very strong. I don't think that I need any more AD or crit chance on the Twitch, but both of them would be good. But there's no reason to roll past the first one because damage amp kind of completes my board, right? Twitch does get damage amp because of the sniper trait, so it is a bit of like wasted return. You might look at it and say, wait, but like you get damage amp from sniper, so you should probably just go for base AD. And it's like, that's true, but like how deep do I have to roll for that anomaly to get base AD? Like I'd rather just make it to level 9 here, which I think is a lot more suitable of an option. As you can see, I am very strong. The Twitch do stabilize my damage. I did lose that 1 round at the beginning, or the 1 or 2 rounds in the first 1 or 2 rounds of stage 4, but I am very stable. I am very strong right now, and I'm basically very close to making it to level 10, or sorry, level 9. And when I'm level 9, I'm hoping that I can play around some sort of 5 cost that will also zoop up my board a little bit and give me a little bit more power. So that's my thought process. It's like damage amp, it does like kind of complete my little setup right now, because if you look at Twitch's stats in general, of course, he does get the damage amp from snipers, so there is like arguably diminishing return, but almost all the stats are going to be diminishing return. A lot of times with this comp, you usually just put on a front line if you don't know exactly what you're doing with your back line. But there's no reason for me to put on front line, because in my head I was like, I have Suspicious Trenchcoat, I already dedicated my Orn artifact to it, like I'm probably fine. Here there was no prismatic or gold orb drop, so I don't get value off prismatic pipeline. Here I have a Jace on bench, so I level for Jace. It does spike my board a little bit right now, so I'm down to just play the Jace. I don't think the crystal affects bulky buddies, but I didn't test it, so I don't know for sure. And I can't tell you because I can't go back and check it. I'll check it next time I'm in a similar situation, but I just didn't bother to check it. Here, I think I'm going to make Elise items. I put it on the wrong unit though. I put on Jace by accident. Elise does do a lot of damage, and now I have Form Swapper in. I don't have good Jace items from what I got dropped in addition to what I have from my component anvil. So I'm just going to focus on making Elise items, and then I'll just have redundancy on the Last Whisper by putting a Even Shroud, or making an Even Shroud as one of the items. So here, once again, it's looking very stressful, but this Elise is really, really strong, and I'm able to just like clutch out with the Twitch. So I'm winning a lot of these rounds. Like, this is a spot where I feel like I can play for first. I'm not sure exactly what goes wrong this game. I think there were the small optimizations. So if other people's boards become highly optimized. Okay, I missed Caitlyn. That's really bad. Okay, am I just not buying Caitlyn? Buy Caitlyn. What the fuck? Oh no, I just didn't buy Caitlyn ever. Why do I have Zarian? I think I just forgot. Okay, I rolled past 2 Caitlyn's. All right, this is where the game starts to fall apart. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay, this is tech, by the way. I've read about this. I've heard about it in voice calls that I've heard streamers having on stream. So this is Chinese tech, if I'm not mistaken, or it's EU. It's not NA. It came from somewhere else. But basically, you play Urgot, and then there's an anomaly that makes him absorb the person next to him and steal all of their stats. So you play Urgot with like a giga jacked bruiser next to him, and then he absorbs the bruiser, and then he just becomes unkillable. So that's something that I just wasn't prepared to see. I know roughly about it, but I wasn't sure how it performs. Because I never saw it firsthand. And a lot of times when you hear about this like quote unquote tech, I'm not very keen on it a lot of the time, because sometimes it's just like absolutely like, you know, it's just troll, right? There's so many times, like I remember last set there was like so many posts that I was reading about how Shen triple procs what's it called? He triple procs Horizon Focus. So you play Shen reroll with 6 Bruiser with Horizon Focus, and it's like a Giga OP S tier comp. I'm gonna tell you now, it was never fucking S tier. I played it like 2 or 3 times, and I went bot 4 every single fucking time. Like, you know, that's what I do. You know, if you look at my journey and you're like, why isn't this guy higher rank? It's because I try out some of this dumb shit for you guys, just so I can tell you and have an informed opinion. I'm not a hero, you know, not asking for you guys to like give me a medal for it. But I'm just saying, please be understanding. You know, one day I'll try out that Urgot tech. I don't know if it's good. Until I try it out, then I'll make a video and tell you if it's good or not. That's pretty much how this channel works. I always try out the thing before telling you, right? Like this Twitch comp, right? The reason I'm talking about it, the reason I'm showing it, in Prismatic Pipeline, all of these things, I'm not saying it like, hey, I played this one time and I did really well, you guys should play it. No, it's because I played Twitch like 5 times, right? I started this by saying I've played Twitch 5 times. Right, that's how this channel kind of operates, right? I'm not just trying to clickbait and say, hey, I just heard about this. This is the first time I hear about it. It's like, first I hear about it. I usually hear about it like a week earlier because I'm spending so much time researching this shit. And then afterwards, I try and figure out if it's good or not, right? So, yeah, please bear with me. That's why the videos are a little bit slow at the beginning. A lot of the time, like, there's a lot of comps that you probably haven't seen a video on my channel. And it's because I haven't played it like 3 or 4 times, right? I kind of have like a list. And it's like, okay, like, you know, a Camille video is going to come up soon. I've played Camille 5 times. I think I bought forward with it 4 times, and I top 2'd with it, like, or top 2'd with it, like, twice or something like that. So, you know, it's obviously very strong, but, like, I understand what a good spot and a bad spot is, so that next time I make a video, I can tell you guys about it. But that's, like, in the works. And then I have a video on Akali Nocturne that I've played, like, 4 times. I bought forward with it 3 times, and I top 2'd with it 1 time. So, you know, we'll go through that as well. But anyways, I think I just didn't optimize really well this game. I should have held on to Caitlyn's. I think I was just too tunnel visioned. I was definitely tunnel visioned on trying to find this Jace. If you don't know, I think Caitlyn's not that good in general. Even though she's sniper, I understand the synergy. But Jace 2 is just an absolute monster. So a lot of times when I see this comp do well, it's because they have a Jace 2. So I was trying to roll pretty aggressively to get the Jace upgrade. As you can see, I have my Elise as well. Elise does pump out damage with the form swapper damage amp, so this Elise will do a lot. The Tactician's Crown, or like the double spat thing, gives her attack speed as well as some additional damage, like additional AP. So it is a really good item just to put on her. And then I have the redundancy on the Even Shroud, so that if Twitch does it, so that, like, you know, other units can hit it. So this is the Urgot tech. As you can see, he absorbs a bunch of HP from the guy next to him. So once he absorbs all his HP, he kind of just goes infinite. He has Radiant IE as well, so he's just kind of like deleting everybody. I think these fights would have been better if I had a little bit more damage. As you can see, I can't kill the Urgot, but I just need like another damage dealer, right? Elise is a little bit slow. Typically with Elise, you want to put her more towards the middle, by the way. The spiders take a really long time to walk. around. So a lot of times, like, unless you're trying to snipe a backline unit, typically Elise in the middle just makes it so the spiders have to travel less distance. But anyways, here, like, I'll hover over and you can see what the anomaly is. I'm pretty sure I should be buying Caitlyn, by the way. I don't know why I'm not buying Caitlyn, my bad. But I think I'm just too tunnel vision on Jace, like when I was playing, because Caitlyn 1 doesn't do anything, but Caitlyn 2 kind of pops off. So I should definitely have a Caitlyn 2. It's definitely better than Zeri. Zeri's okay if I'm trying to like spread resources, like let's say I had red buff and Shiv, like that's pretty good, like if you're using her for utility, because she hits multiple units really easily. But in general, I think it's better to play around the Caitlyn. TG is fine, probably. So this is probably ended up to be a third. That's what I thought. In my head, I really wanted a second, right, when I was playing the game, but I definitely messed up a lot, right? So I think a third is deserved here. I think the tempo that I had with Prismatic Pipeline, I thought initially that I could just play for first. The Urgot is kind of like unbearably difficult to deal with, so I don't think I'll ever be able to deal with the Urgot unless I hit Jace 2. I'm saving up all my gold. I'm just going to roll down for Jace 2 probably. But I don't have Jace items. I just have Elise items. So we'll see how it ends up. This guy has Malzahar 2, Black Rose Emblem, right? Flexible, so he has a lot of extra HP on his board. And because I have the Mundos splitting into 3, my Mundos all kind of suck. So it's not really good for me. Yeah, so I just kind of get deleted here. I just can't get through the Elise without... I basically don't have a second damage dealer. I have Elise, but it's not the greatest. So here I have 60 gold. I'm going to roll down. We're going to hope that we can hit Jace 2, at least. I should be buying Caitlyn's. I skipped to Jace. Oh, God, this is horrible. I guess I'm just committed to Twitch now. I should be buying all these Caitlyn's. Yeah. Yeah, that's not that great. But I don't think Caitlyn would have made a difference in any of these fights. I'm kind of rolling for Twitch 3 at this point. I don't hit. I skipped to Jace, but I didn't see 2 Jaces, right? Maybe I saw 2 Jaces. I put the double Twitch in. I shouldn't have put the double Twitch in. My Elise loses Form Swapper. It was definitely leave Jason. But yeah, I should have changed Zeri to Caitlyn. I just don't have items for it. I think if I got Jace items, I would have been more inclined to play around Caitlyn. If I got like AD items, I would have been more inclined to play around Caitlyn. I don't think it really makes a difference. I think I still lose to both of these boards. I think the other mistakes were larger. Yeah, I'm not hitting it. I'll just put back in the Jace. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and I couldn't make it to level 10 because I have to fight this guy. I don't think I win against the Black Rose player for the aforementioned reasons. Also, I think I fucking grief this. Oh, I remember what happens now. Okay, watch this, chat. I'm trying to move the Jace somewhere. Look, and I fucked it. So all of those units lose bulky buddies because you can only have 2 units next to each other. And look how close this fight is, right? What I wanted is I wanted all of my units. I wanted most of my frontline units to be on the right-hand side to make sure that my Twitch was getting more sniper value. And that's what I was trying to do. So I effectively did that. As you can see, like my Twitch is hitting this Elise for higher sniper value. But look at how close this fight was. If I had bulky buddies, I might have actually won. Like, it was so razor thin. So, like, you know, I think he lived with just 1 unit. Like, he won with just 1 unit extra. But, you know, it is what it is. So, last couple rounds, a little bit grief, but I was kind of panicking. So, that's fine. We'll look at the final board. Just so that we see. Oh, I hit bingo, by the way. Whenever I hit bingo now, I play League on stream. I'm not a League player, but I have a generational Tom Kench. Which means I played 1 game of Tom Kench and I got a kill. So I'm not a League player, but we do that for fun if chat wants me to. Because if I hit bingo, I get a punishment, and if chat hits bingo, they get VIP. So if you join my stream, you can play bingo. Everybody gets a customized card, and we fill it out together based on what happens in the game. So for example, like that game, I mispositioned for 1 fight, so I took off the bingo. But anyways, I lose to Capped Heimer, and I lose to this Urgot reroll. This Urgot reroll, expect to see it at one point. I'll try it out one day as soon as I get to know a little bit more about it and what a good spot for it really means. I've played Urgot reroll before with pit fighters, and it didn't feel that strong. So I'm not sure how much, I need to understand how to abuse the anomaly the same way this guy did in order to properly spike my board. And then it was Malzahar, Heimer, which I might have been able to beat. Had I had Jace 2, Caitlyn 2, but I didn't really buy any Caitlyn's. I was tunnel vision on Jace. Anyways, hopefully that was entertaining or informative video. I tried my best. This was something that I wanted to look at as well. This is showing you Twitch with Mundo. I think I maybe had another Twitch Mundo video on the channel, but it was a little bit outdated. So here you go. Like I said before, Trenchcoat off of Mundo. Radiant Gwinsu is probably better on Twitch. Trenchcoat off of Mundo. Mundo with Bruiser emblem is a little bit higher cap, but I took Coronation because I felt like I could tempo better in my mid game. You can play around Elise backline if you have AP items, and then sell the Zarya and buy Caitlyn. I can't stress that enough. My bad. Caitlyn and then Jace 2. Those are your max cap on level 9 that puts you in a contention of getting first. See you later. Bye bye.